Gabe Jenkins back with you. I'm going to do a quick video here on something called ARRAYS. Array, A-R-R-A-Y. You will find it in the Modify suite of tools in your AutoCAD desktop environment. What the function of an array is it takes any element you choose, or several elements if you have more than one element, and it makes copies of those things in predefined ways that you can adjust however you want them to be. So we're going to talk about three different kinds of arrays. And we're going to end with the polar array because that's the one that's going to help you do your assignment number. I can't remember what it is. I think it's 13. Anyway, here's what arrays. So if you have an array, say I have this circle here and I want to make multiple copies of it, and I want it to be like several across and several up, but I want an exact copy of the original thing. So if I go to array and I click on array, it asks me what I want to make an array of. If I click that, click the circle, hit enter, and hit enter again. It gives me an array, right? It gives me copies of this thing in columns, up and down or column, and rows, left and right or rows. So up at the top, it allows me to change the settings of this particular array. So if I say instead of 4 columns, I want 5, I can go in here and I can type 5. I hit tab, it then updates it so that there's now 5 columns. If I want there just to be 2 rows, I can change that so that there's just 2 rows. And all I'm doing is changing the number and hitting tab to just kind of see what it would look like. I can also change like how much space between them each one of these things is in terms of left and right, and how much space between the columns, or how far I want the whole thing to stick over. So right now, in between the center points of all these circles horizontally, there's 30 units of space. So between here and here, there's 30. So it's 30, 60, 90, 120. So I can change any of those things. I can say like, oh, okay, instead of 30, I want it to be 20. So now they're going to be closer together. And instead of 80, I want it to be 100. So they're going to spread them out again because that's the total distance between them. I can do the same thing with how far apart the rows are if I want to do that. Whenever I'm finished, whenever it looks the way I want it to look and all the kind of settings right, I would hit close, and now it's done, right? One interesting thing to note, and it's important on the assignment that you use the polar array for, it now thinks of all of this as one specific, thinks of this array as one element, right? And so you can't like just trim one part away. So see what happens if you try to trim like one thing away? It won't let you trim one thing away because it thinks of this whole thing as just one object, okay? So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, it doesn't have to think of that forever, right? So you could, if you wanted to go down here to, you could come down here and take this whole thing and type in the word explode and click on it. And now it thinks of all of these as independent objects because explode takes one thing made up of multiple elements and separates them into all the constituent elements. So that might be what you want to do in, let's just get rid of some of these things. Erase, 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 erase. All right. So that was rectangular array. Sometimes though, say you wanted, I don't know, say you wanted the same element copied over a spline. A spline is just a curved line that is made to curve to fit whatever points you define. So say I have this circle and I want to copy it over here, like all along this pathway. Comes up more often in SolidWorks, but all right. So if I go to array and I go to the path array, again, I select the thing I want to copy, hit enter, and then I select the curve that I wanted to copy, that I wanted to trace out along, and cool, right? Done. So now I have 5 copies of this thing along here. But say I wanted to change it. I want to make this thing go over this curve. Cool. If I click that, how many of them do I want? I can change how kind of all these settings work. I'd say instead of 30 units of distance between them, say I only want like 5, right? Awesome. It makes the distance between each one of these circles only 5 apart from each other. So you can kind of change it whenever it looks the way you want it, you can hit close, and now again it thinks of this whole thing, this whole array, as one object. All right. All right, so for the purposes of our assignment that we're going to work on, we need to think about polar array. So Instead of a path, so a rectangular pathway, we're going to do polar array. If we click again, we click on this thing, we select this object, I hit enter right there, even though you can't see my thing doing it. So then it says, what's the center point that you want this circle? I picked this circle. What's the center point you want it to rotate around? Well, let's just say, we'll just say I wanted it to rotate around the origin. So 0, 0. Boom. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see what's going on here, right? So now I got this same circle, but it's being repeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times around that center point which I set. Now say if instead of 6 I want there to be 12, so I can hit 12, make 12 things around that center point. Okay. What if I only want it to go halfway around the circle? I don't want it to go all the way around. So right now it's set to go 360 degrees around the circle. What if I only wanted it to go, for instance, 120 degrees, a third of a circle? And instead of 12 things, I wanted there to be, oh, I don't know, 5, right? I can kind of adjust all of these settings and make it look the way I want it to look. Lastly, one of the things that's going to come up frequently, like you probably, if you're going to do something as a polar array and you're not going to want it to go all the way around a circle, it's important to kind of think about establishing that first thing that you want to make a copy of, establishing it kind of at the end of the arc you want it to go. So like if I were doing this particular like set of 5 circles, I would want to draw this one or this one and then make the polar array around that part of the circle. Don't go for the middle one, because you'd want to just be able to pick one on the end and say, I want it to rotate 120 degrees around. Now, what you might find is that, oh, I didn't want it to go that way. Well, the arrows show you what direction you're telling that polar array you want it to copy in. That was our original, and so it's going in the direction of the arrows. What if you wanted it to go the other way? Well, look at your options up here at the top, right? Let's just change the direction. If you change the direction, it's going to go the other way. Still going to go 120 degrees, still going to be 5 of them, right? But it's going to go the other direction. All right, so that's about it. Looks like I want it to look. If I really wanted to make it like, let's make 12. Let's make it look like a clock. All right, now it kind of looks like a clock. All right, so that's polar array. Super helpful tool, necessary for lots of different kinds of designs that you're going to need to be able to do. Whenever you're done with it, you're going to hit close and you're done. If you wanted to separate this one thing, you can see when I highlight it, it kind of highlights all of them because, again, it thinks of the whole thing as one big object, but it's easy enough to just kind of hit explode and then click on any one of them, boom, hit enter, and now you can see each one is a separate element. And that's it. Hope this is helpful for you as you pursue your AutoCAD assignment number. I think it's 13. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Have a great day, everybody.